Warning, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Derek Ruby Show. I am your host, the previously mentioned Mr. Ruby, and I just got done watching Kong Skull Island. And let me tell you, I have been a fan of King Kong since the 1933 original. It's a classic and the best one, by the way. There have been many interpretations and variations of King Kong over the years from Japan and America. So much so that we had a remake in 2005 by Peter Jackson, but that one sucked dick. Fortunately for us, Kong Skull Island does not. So the movie starts off in 1944 during World War II as an American soldier and a Japanese soldier land on the island parachuting down, and they have a fight and we get our first glimpse of King Kong. We fast forward to the 70s and the usual plot in most Kong movies of some kind of funded expedition to a deserted island somewhere that nobody knows about, and they have a military escort led by Samuel L. Jackson, which this comes into play quite a bit in the movie because this movie could easily be called King Kong versus Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson. And unlike a lot of monster movies that have come out in the recent years, one cool thing was it was probably about 30 minutes and we already got some Kong action. The pacing of this movie is really good and we get a lot of King Kong. I mean, the movie really knows that Kong is the actual star of the movie. He isn't just some fucking background character like Transformers or something. He's actually featured quite well in this movie. So the military drops bombs to test the island and the seismic activity. This brings Kong out and he goes ahead and he kills a bunch of them. I mean, it's quite a battle. And so for the entire movie, Samuel L. Jackson is pissed and his only goal is to kill King Kong. One thing about Kong in this movie is he's fucking enormous. And it is amazing when you look back at the 1933 classic and you look at the side-by-side comparison. We've come a long way in technology. One thing I do like about the original is Kong seems like an animal. You know, he seems like just an animal that just doesn't really know what's going on and you feel sympathy for him. And I feel like this Kong also displays those kind of emotions. He really comes across as an animal that's just in the situation. He's the protector of his realm. These people have invaded his space, and he's just trying to protect his island. Of course, in all that chaos, everybody gets separated, and one of the groups come across the natives of the island. These natives are very quiet. They don't do much but bow their heads and pose for pictures. It's a far cry from the dancing crazy natives of the original, but I digress on that. John C. Reilly plays the down pilot from the beginning of the movie. He is a subtle comedic foil for everybody else. I was actually surprised at how well he just fit right into this. I really believe that he was a down pilot, and it just really shows off his acting ability. So there's these little monster lizard things on the island. Apparently Kong is protecting the island from these things because there's one really huge one. And that was probably the big problem with them dropping bombs is the ground is hollow, and a lot of monsters come from that. And the whole theory or premise from this movie with John Goodman as one of the main characters is these creatures really own the earth, and man doesn't. Kong, he knows by them dropping bombs, he's waking those creatures up, and they're going to cause havoc on the island, and he has to protect it. There is a lot of wildlife on the island. There appears to be like a large buffalo type creature, a giant spider, either a squid or an octopus, kind of a throwback to the Japanese version of King Kong. So there's some pretty cool little nostalgia pops throughout it. So without going into too much detail about every little thing in the movie, bottom line is Samuel L. Jackson, he's determined to kill King Kong, and he fills the water up with napalm and he attacks him and he's going to blow him up, but everybody turns on him. Of course, this wakes up the giant lizard. He comes out and him and Kong have a major battle. Kong eventually wins the day and the good guys get off the island, and there's a lot of unfortunate casualties. Samuel L. Jackson, his ass gets killed. The movie has a little bit of humor in it. It's got fairly good pacing. It was never boring. It's definitely one of the better monster movies I've seen in a long time. There's an emotional moment when this is over at the very end of the movie where the survivor from the beginning finally gets to reunite with his wife and child after all these years. And it actually is a pretty touching moment. And if you stay past the credits, there's an extra scene where they're basically giving a preview of like possibly a Godzilla versus King Ghidorah fight on some paintings or carvings. And then you hear the Godzilla roar and it just sends chills down your spine, obviously setting up for the Godzilla versus King Kong remake, I guess. I believe that one's slated for 2020. Hopefully that happens. I'm excited for it. This movie was good. It's definitely worth going to see. So I would give Kong Skull Island 4 stars. So thank you guys for listening to the Derek Ruby Show. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'll see you guys next time. So much so that we had a remake in 2005 by Peter Jackson, but that one sucked dick. Fortunately for us, Kong Skull Island does not.